I'm a hunter, like I like to go and I like to get, and I love to go really deep in the work. But the challenge has been making sure that we elevate, making sure that we see across now the team that we're building.
I came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon.
Give a nice clap. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 31 of The Vlog. All right, I am here with my business partner, Norm. It feels like just yesterday that we were doing the 2019 recap, and we are here to share some insights on building a business in 2020. But first, let's reflect a little bit on what an incredible year it's been here at Thoughtium. The first observation I want to make is just how easy it's been and fluid it's been to create content this year. Starting with today, it's a Sunday afternoon. We're in here making sure we get a head start on the week. And I said, Norm, let's shoot some content. And within 15 minutes, we had everything set up. We had a couple of keynotes that we were preparing for, and we just turned the camera on. And I'll tell you, what's most exciting for me about content creation is when you get comfortable documenting the journey, it becomes easier, and the documenting, the actual story becomes more clear and more authentic. So Norm, thanks for joining episode 31 today.
Yeah, just really excited to be here. Looking forward to continuing to share the journey with you all as we go forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't we start on some reflections from this year?
Great.
It's been a busy year. Thoughtium has grown, as you all know. We've very much documented that journey as we've brought new practitioners into this space. Our client list has obviously gotten wider. It's also gotten deeper. So the relationships that we have with our clients are becoming more and more meaningful. And the work, the work will always lead for us. And we've just had a lot of fun and created a lot of meaning around the work that we do. Not just for our clients, but internally for Thoughtium. So Norm, maybe a little perspective on what has stuck out for you in 2019.
Yeah, I think for us, it's really the transition from being three partners and practitioners to building the team. It's one thing when you're potentially working one-on-one with your client and you're worried about staying in your lane as an individual practitioner. As soon as you're starting to be thoughtful about bringing others in and building the team, your priority and lens really needs to shift. And so we've really been working on that transition between, again, individual practitionership to what it really takes to not only build a team, but to invest in the team and culture that we want to build.
Yeah, the most easiest thing that we could do as solo practitioners is package up our own greatness.
For sure.
And that's what really made the partnership really great, is because we took three great practitioners and we said, let's find a common core, let's find the center, which is creating the space for our clients to think differently about the work that they do every day in business. But the challenge when you bring other people in is to light up their greatness, right? And I've been talking a lot about this with leaders across the industry in terms of some of the best practices in really lighting your people up and allowing their best work to then shape the culture. So maybe a thought or two on that.
Yeah, I think for us, especially as we've brought new individuals in, and some of these individuals we haven't worked with in the past. So I think that, initial onboarding, the ability to even make that experience feel different. And then just challenging ourselves to figure out what are the ways that we could really light them up, the ways that we can position them to come into our existing clients, to potentially build new relationships, and even the ability to learn from them. Again, I think for us, we're building a learning culture. We're really focused on communication and transparency. And so it just allowed us to try and test it and do some unique things. And I think the services that we provide to the clients, a lot of that is actually showing up for us in building the business. And so I think I couldn't be more excited about that part of our work, where it's not only are we walking along the journey and the path with our clients, but we're seeing it in real time as we're building our team.
100%. Now, I'll be very basic here.
Yeah.
We are building a consulting company. We are bringing other consultants in now to help support our three capabilities in strategy design, leadership development, and learning and development. The best way that I have found when we bring new consultants in is to very quickly get them exposure to the capabilities and the work. We're a small shop, so we've learned very quickly that it would be unrealistic for us to develop this like comprehensive onboarding, learning and development program, even though that's what we do for our clients. Typically that's within larger organizations. So we're at a point right now, very much a startup. We are looking for people that can step in and are really excited about the work, being in front of the work as opposed to behind it. And those folks that we've brought in that have done a really incredible job have not scared away from the client work really from day one. And that's been really, really interesting to see. So growing the practice, I would say, between yourself and me and Kathy would be probably the number one key takeaway this year in terms of really excitement around Thoughtium. Let's also talk about, like, I don't know, maybe some of the good, bad, and the ugly this year. Because, this year has been really, really, with so much growth, it doesn't come easy. So maybe what are some of the things that, like, maybe you've struggled with or we've struggled with that you'd want to share with our audience?
Yeah, I think for me personally, it's this tension of, for those of you who know me, it's like I always want to have everything buttoned up. And so I think the reality of continuing to have a full client book, of starting and building a team, and then even just your own maybe individual expectations or even pressures you put on yourself, it just is a lot. And so I think at times it's like you want to have everything completely buttoned up, and it's so challenging to keep things balanced.
Yes, and I will be even more clear about that because there have been very specific scenarios or situations where all of us have had to come together and really prioritize our time. And we'll get to that in a second in terms of like where, how we do that. But when we talk about the good, bad, and the ugly, I mean, there have been times where, we've looked at just our general capacity and it's been at like 170, 200%, which means there needs to be two Norms. Yes. And there needs to be two Anthonys. And as a business owner, that should be a regular kind of comfortable feeling, but at the same time, it's something that you have to solve for, especially when you now need to allocate some of your time for team members as you bring them in. And so for me, that's been equally as challenging, to go from a solo practitioner to a larger team of other great professionals is a really challenging transition. And I know if Kathy were sitting here, she would probably call out some of the same challenges. I'm a hunter. Like I like to go and I like to get, and I love to go really deep in the work. But the challenge has been making sure that we elevate, making sure that we see across now the team that we're building, and making sure that we have an eye on the future. And that's very much what we're kind of pausing here in December to do to make sure we're lined up for 2020. Now, Norm, I want to go a little bit deeper. Just I think you used the term, or maybe I did, balance. Right? That's been a word that I think all entrepreneurs use. And I know there's different schools of thought. Some people think there should be no balance. You should love the work so much that you're so in it that every second of every day is allocated towards it. And I know, we know other entrepreneurs that really hold dearly a quality of life balance, and that's the reason why they are out doing their own thing. I think you and I particularly have learned a lot in terms of balance. And if I could move away from even the term balance, because I think it's so cliche, more so really prioritizing ourselves in areas where it matters the most. So let's talk a little bit about what that's meant for you.
Yeah, so just building even on that tension and the pressure, again, from this year, for me, it personally hit a breaking point where in August, there was, I think, a combination of, nutrition and fatigue and stress and everything that was really building. And it really physically forced me to put everything on hold. And so I think, as you start asking yourself some of these bigger questions of, at what cost? Or, how do I take a step back and what are the things I need to do to be mentally, physically, emotionally, ready and really at my best and living my best life. And so I think for me, August, September, and October have really allowed me to lean into self-care. It's allowed me to lean into things like journaling, meditation, the importance of nutrition, the importance of physical activity, and that really being a cornerstone. And I think for me, as I started to focus more inward and really just allowing a more calming sense, a little bit more of the foundational pieces, it's showing up again in the work. And so, it's funny how sometimes you've got to look inward to then turn around and show it outward.
Oh, I love that. I think, all of us, particularly myself and you and Kathy, are learning our own boundaries, right? As entrepreneurs. Like I've been such a self-motivated professional and athlete my entire life. And so there's nothing you could throw at me that I'm not able to handle. Right. And I love that pressure. In fact, I love like my back against the wall. So you kind of get used to that. But yeah, you can absolutely get yourself in situations where you realize like I'm not performing because of the amount of pressure that I'm taking on.
Yep.
And it's so interesting, you know, Norm and I have a connection that runs so much deeper than just Thoughtium. You know, we went to college together. We've been great friends over the course of the last 15 years. And so to be able to share the kind of life aspect of building a business with you has been something incredibly special. And it's funny because you and I have been able to recognize at certain points throughout this year where, you know, each other may be pushing a little bit of the limit. And we've given each other that space to go and find a little bit of quality of life, a little bit of balance. And for me, that absolutely was this summer. And you know, one of the things that has really surprised me the most, that's been so pleasant about this kind of struggle that we go through in terms of taking care of ourselves and taking care of the business, is that they can coexist.
For sure.
And we all know there's synergies, like you want to show up your best self for your team, but at the same time, I think in today's, you know, business world, more and more of our entire selves can show up to work. Even the stressed, broken, tired parts of us can show up to work, and we can rely on our people and the culture that we're building here at Thoughtium to support that and to guide us in the right direction. So for myself, this summer that has meant really prioritizing my health. I've done that very similarly through you know, physical activity, through meditation, through being able to step away, through really investing in relationships that just matter more than anything, right? More than any business. And so it's great to be coming, you know, kind of towards the end of the year and to look back and to see that you and I respectively have found a little bit more of that balance, have been able to prioritize our personal lives. And I can't wait until that starts to show up, and it has, but really in 2020 and beyond, because now we have employees that are watching. You know, we have team members that are coming to us with similar challenges, and it's so great to be able to empathize and to relate to, you know, every aspect of showing up to work, which is not just the work. So I think the theme here for us for 2019 is growth, right? Growth from a business perspective, bringing a team in, and also growth individually and respectively, which you know, we hope is going to be the foundation and the core of the culture here at Thoughtium moving forward. So let's wrap it up with maybe thinking out towards 2020. What are you most excited about?
So for me in 2020, the thing I'm most excited about is optimizing the team. You know, something that we've talked about is we brought in new team members. We've been in this stage where we've made this transition, we're starting to build, and I couldn't be more excited because it's the space that I love of really starting to optimize the team.
Yeah, no, that's great. So optimizing the team, that's going to be super important. I know, Norm, that's your forte, that's your background, that's what you love to do. I see you, you know, like light up every time when you talk about our people and growing the team. We're so fortunate to have you a part of this team, and so fortunate to have you really leading the build and the organizational design. For me, I'll tell you, you know, I always go back to the brand. I always go back to the story. You know, it's been over 3 years now where we've been growing and building Thoughtium, and the story has evolved year over year. There have been so many new chapters that have been added to this. And I continue to realize the value in telling the story. And it's not just, you know, so that our clients and our community can see what we're doing and potentially learn. That's an added side effect. It's so that we can continue to go deeper with the relationships that matter most. And so I've just been so proud of the folks that we've had on the vlog, the folks that we've even had individual discussions with and that we've counseled on the side. And I am super excited to continue that type of relationship development in 2020. You know, I was watching a video podcast the other day where they were talking about personal brand being the highest valued component now of business. They were actually talking about it in the context of the mortgage industry, where we no longer buy mortgages from specific banks or specific lenders. We now even more so want to go to specific people because the mortgage is the commodity and the people are the differentiator. And we really hope and will be driving towards making our people the differentiator in the relationships that we have. And brand is a lever, it's a tool that you can use to help differentiate. And our brand is really rooted in documenting and telling the story. And we are so appreciative of all of you being along for every chapter of this story on an episode by episode basis. Happy holidays, everybody, and have an incredible start to your 2020.